Good morning, everybody. This is Josh. I've been thinking about how I've kind of developed this, like, the closest thing I have to a scripted, like, intro in these little raw reviews is just saying good morning or good day. This is Josh. But on YouTube, there's like this like template that people follow. And it's not so weird in and of itself. It's just weird that everybody does it. And that's like, hey, gang, we're going to talk about this today. Here's the thing. And does it stack up? Let's find out. Without any further ado, here we go. And it's like so insincere, and you don't have to do that. You can just start talking. It's YouTube. Isn't it supposed to be a little more like real? So I don't know why I'm saying that. I don't know why I'm pointing out that I don't do that. But it struck me that I don't really have any catchphrases or anything. I probably have things that I say a lot, because that's what happens when you hear somebody gab a lot, and I've been gabbing to you a lot about movies lately. So anyway, tangent aside, I saw Beetlejuice ×2. I don't want any trouble. I don't live on the edge. I'm not going to take any risks. I don't want to put myself out there. So Beetlejuice, I said it twice now. This is the very random and surprising 36-year late sequel to Tim Burton's 1988 Beetlejuice, starring Michael Keaton. There's been a rumor for the longest time, for years and years and years, there was this fabled Beetlejuice Goes Hawaiian sequel, which sounds like a kitschy joke. That doesn't sound like the title of a real movie. But there was a script apparently floating around, and it never happened. And I think now that a few things, right? Now that Tim Burton kind of has, I think probably the discovery of the addition of Jenna Ortega to the Tim Burton universe, but also the fact that Beetlejuice, the character, has become kind of ubiquitous and just like it's part of the culture. It just makes sense with everything being a Lego sequel reboot. Seemed inevitable. And I saw the movie last night. It's very strange for me because I grew up, I'll get to the movie and how it is, but I grew up with the movies of Tim Burton, not to sound like certain other YouTube movie reviewers, but I really did. Tim Burton was part of like my discovering the idea of authorship and what would be called auteurism in movies, like that there was a guy who was kind of the creative onus, like the creative center, an author of these movies that were coming, and I liked all of them: Pee-wee's Big Adventure and Beetlejuice and Batman and Edward Scissorhands and Mars Attacks. And then when I was a little older, he made a slightly more grown-up movie called Ed Wood and Big Fish. And like, this guy has like a voice and a visual style. Terry Gilliam was kind of the same way, like discovering that filmmakers can be like one driven person who then surrounds himself with creative people and who execute that vision. And also, I mean, in Tim Burton's favor, his stuff is silly, it's visually stylized, and he used to be a Disney animator, so he just had like so much cred with me. Of course, then he kept making movies and he discovered CGI and Johnny Depp, and everything just got like, I like some of his movies all along, and then some I never even caught up with. And so I don't have the same relationship with him now that I did, but it was really fun to go and see this movie. And it was particularly fun because I think it's really good. I think this was a weird, random, unnecessary, and full of baffling content. But just on a meta level, I love that this movie exists. And it does what we, people of a certain age, wish that if you're going to do a legacy reboot. Remember, I said this a couple weeks ago, that if we're only going to see familiar IPs, make them as good and scary as Alien Romulus. Well, I'd say in a different vein, make them as insanely silly and fun and committed to the spirit of the original as Beetlejuice ×2. Because this movie, it sidesteps the pitfalls that particularly that those recent Ghostbusters movies fall into, where it's the Stranger Thingsification of these franchises, that they have to be for a new generation of kids, so you have to literally put kids from Stranger Things in it, and they have to like be all precious and discover the artifacts from the original franchise, and you have to be precious about it. There's almost nothing precious in this Beetlejuice sequel. It is goofy cartoon fun from beginning to end. It's chaos, it's lo-fi, it has animatronics and stop motion, or at least it has CG that is like configured to look like stop motion. And it's relatively short and economical, and there are too many plots, there's too much going on, but that kind of, it does feel like it kind of builds the world of Beetlejuice without any of that like single shaft of light and like lore. There's one really funny lore dump where we learn more about Beetlejuice and who he was. I guess that's a spoiler, I'm not going to say what it is, but like but even the way that is done is incredibly silly. It's done in a comedic way with a filmmaking pastiche, which is unexpected and funny. So Catherine O'Hara is back, Winona Ryder is back, Jenna Ortega is added to the cast as Winona Ryder's daughter. Justin Theroux is a character. I'm not going to spoil a lot because it doesn't matter. This is a Beetlejuice movie, and the way they get back into the world and update you on the characters. Jeffrey Jones is not back, but I was surprised. If you don't know about Jeffrey Jones, he played the dad in the original Beetlejuice, and he is not available to act anymore. I'll just say that. But I was surprised how much his character is represented, and even his likeness is represented in this movie, and that's all I'll say. I was kind of surprised by that. Michael Keaton is back, and there's a lot in the press about how he was determined that if they were going to do this again, that he had some like stipulations, and one of them was that Beetlejuice can't be in the movie all the time, because in the original, you go back and see it, you're kind of shocked that he's in like so little of it, and his appearances matter because of that. And so yes, I think he's still in it more than you expect given that pretext, but it's good. The use of the character is good. He's still got it. He's still funny. It's still gross and funny, and there's just gags aplenty. Some actors have been added. Monica Bellucci is in this movie, and how did it take her this long to be like a Burton lady? I don't know, maybe she's been in another Burton. I haven't been keeping up, but she seems like she is the kind of stunningly gothy, beautiful woman that Tim Burton would insist on putting in his movies. But she's there, and she's playing this kind of ghost bride out for revenge. And then Willem Dafoe in a very strange role. Willem Dafoe is great, so you're never going to complain about seeing him. But I feel like if this was the 80s, the part that Willem Dafoe is playing would have been like some kind of square-jawed like action guy, and like a character actor, not like a famous person. I think having like an Oscar level famous person is just what you do in supporting roles in movies now. I think it would have been better with like a comedic actor. Willem Dafoe is very funny, and this part is funny. I love Willem Dafoe. I'm not complaining about him. I'm just saying from a meta level, the casting is weird. And the part is weird, but it's very fun to see Willem Dafoe having this kind of cartoon fun. Excuse me. So there's other stuff going on. Like I say, there's so many stories going on. There's something with a teen romance that I'll say, without spoiling anything, is akin to something in another Legacy reboot recently that I've already mentioned, but it's done way better here, and it's way more interesting here. So that's there. And then there is an attempt at the end of the movie to bring all these threads together in a chaotic, kind of climactic event sequence. Much like in the first Beetlejuice, there's the wedding at the Dietz's home in the end, which is like this huge thing where he's trying to marry Lydia, and there's like, he keeps showing up in all these different forms, and there's this chaotic, like crazy sequence. There's an attempt at something like that here, and it feels weirdly small and rushed. And like when some of the characters from the 18 threads that are happening show up at this location where this is all happening, it feels like they're there just to tie up their, literally with like one line sometimes to put a little bow on their thread. So I felt like, whatever, these are nitpicks. This movie is so much fun. It doesn't stick the landing. I feel like the ending runs out of steam a little bit. And also just ends, but at the same time ends faster than you think. You're used to movies like this having an ending and then an ending and then an explanation and a tag. And this movie just kind of ends. And then there's some fun like credits stuff, but the story just ends with a little fanfare, and it was strange. But again, who cares? I love that this is Tim Burton doing, at least a tribute to his lo-fi kind of beginnings. And I don't know what else to say. There is a song, there's Deo in the original, which is like the song. There's a song that they picked for this movie that's very baffling. I don't know why they picked that song. And then they do a lip sync kind of thing to the entire song. You'll hear this song immediately over the opening credits, and then you'll hear the whole thing later. That is part of that climactic scene, which I found really baffling. But again, these are minor complaints for a movie that manages actually to capture the spirit of its original, and to do so almost 40 years later. Like, that is really remarkable to me. I don't think I've seen a Tim Burton movie in the theater in more than a decade. So this got me there, and it's fun. Don't expect too much from it, but if you like Beetlejuice and you like that specific, that's the kind of part of Tim Burton that we kind of lost. Is he started as a comedy guy, right? He makes Pee-wee's Big Adventure, which is written by Phil Hartman and has Paul Rubens in it, obviously, and it's a straight up comedy, a character comedy. And then Beetlejuice is another character comedy, and it's like full of gags, like cartoon gags, prosthetics and animation and crazy stuff happening. And it's a delight to see more. I don't know, it was fun. It's probably not going to make like any best of lists, probably not going to make my best of list, but it was a fun time. I liked it. All right, that's enough gabbing about that guy. I'll talk to you again soon. Thank you for watching, and you know where to find all my stuff. I'll be back again soon. Josh out.